here with Tristan Pottas, Chief Executive of First Development Resources. Tristan, great to have you on again. How's everything going?
Really good, thanks, Dan. Great to be chatting again.
Definitely. So your latest update focused on your gold exploration efforts at the Selta Project, where you've completed some pretty extensive surveying. I'm going to bring up some images from the work here, but why don't you just walk us through what you've done, walk us through the Lander West target, and tell us what we're looking at in these images as well.
Sure. So, look, as you know, we are doing some fairly extensive gold exploration at the Lander West target currently at Selta. And again, as we reported last year, Lander West as a gold target came out on the back of a very in-depth desktop review of all the historical data that was available for the licenses, and that data included historical sampling, so geochemical data for various different metals, but there is some interesting and anomalous gold in those historical data sets. We also were able to analyze some of the historical geophysical surveys, which we're now complementing with our own survey on a much higher resolution. And I think the image on the screen, Dan, does a good job of just showing the differences. So the image, the grey image you can see on the screen there, that is the original regional magnetic survey that was flown by, I think it was by the Northern Territory government. So the line spacings on that particular image are 200 meters. So a plane would fly, and then they would fly a line across the ground, then they would fly another line back 200 meters away from that first line. Whereas we had a much higher resolution survey completed in January, and ours are actually on a 50-meter line spacing. So what you can see, the contrast between those two images is fairly stark, insofar as in the grey image, you can pick out structures, and that led us to initiate this geophysical survey. But what you can see with the high resolution imagery that we've collected is a much greater detail. So if you look closely on that multicolored image, you can see really with great clarity structures which are in the ground at the Lander West target, and these structures are shallow and they're also deep. So by overlaying this new magnetic data with the historical geochemical samples, we can already start to see where these geochemical samples that were taken are lining up with some of these new structures which have been identified. And again, as listeners may know, we're also currently running a gradient array induced polarization survey, which is again another layer of data which is designed to measure chargeability and resistivity of potentially metal in the ground. So when we layer that on with the magnetics and then lay the geochemical historical data on top of that, what we're always looking for, Dan, is multiple coincident anomalies. Basically arrows that are pointing to us as a company saying, look here. And for our case, look here for gold.
Got you, yeah. So once you integrate all those data sets, the target areas that you get, will it then be drilling, or is it more exploration on the ground to develop your understanding of those further?
So the intention is always to get to the point of drilling in the most efficient time possible. However, we also have to be mindful of the fact that the worst thing we can do is drill a hole in the wrong place. Drilling is the wand of truth. When you stick a hole into the ground, you will have a binary outcome. The geochemical data will say there's something there or there isn't. So we're working on the assumption that with the layered data of the historical data, the historical air mag, the new air mag, and the GAIP survey that we're currently running, it will give us an increased level of confidence that we can design drill targets accordingly. Now, of course, we're always trying to get to the point of drilling in the quickest time possible. So we've already established the targets. So really, the data that we're collecting now is really to try to reaffirm our confidence in the location of the targets. And if it throws up something a bit different, we can then alter the position of the proposed drill collars accordingly to make sure that we're giving ourselves the best chance of hitting the target. So so essentially it's about getting to drilling at the earliest point possible.
Got you, and getting as much data as you can to maximize your chances of success when you do get that drill bit turning.
Exactly.
So you also mentioned that your application for land access and heritage approvals at Selta is underway. Can you tell us how that's going?
Yeah, look, it's going well. As you can appreciate, whenever you do any sort of destructive or, ground intrusive exploration, we have to be mindful of the locations that we're operating, whether that be on a flora or a fauna or a traditional heritage, traditional owners perspective. So we want to go through the process of ensuring that we have all the necessary checks and balances in place before we deploy a drill rig. So we've actually identified an area based on all of the data that we've currently got, and we're applying for drilling within that area at Lander West. And what we'll be able to do is, on the back of this geophysical analysis, we'll be able to refine those locations should we need to. But it's a process that we have to go through. We're working with a fantastic consultancy who have great relationships with the various stakeholders and governmental bodies. We started the process at the end of 2025. The new data is all refining the final application that will go in once we're confident that we are happy where the drill targets are. And then once the application is submitted, the Northern Territory government have a mandatory turnaround time. And in our case, it will be 30 days. But of course, before we push the button on the final application, we want to make sure we have everything in place first of all. So we're working through it, Dan, and we're confident that we'll get there, and we're pleased with the rate of progress so far.
Great. Yeah, finally, I just wanted to ask about the ongoing rare earths exploration at Selta. Do you have any updates on that and how that's going?
The update remains the same. The samples were collected at the end of last year. We managed to get to 95% of the pre-identified sample locations. We were looking to replicate and validate and then replicate historical data, which had returned some anomalously high total rare earth element readings. So look, we went out to the same locations to try to replicate them and then to validate that historical data. The samples were sent to the laboratory at the end of last year, and we hope to have results returned very, very soon. There was a bit of a delay as a result of the Christmas break, but we know that in early January the preparation of the samples had already commenced, so it should be any day really.
Great. Well, good to see things are continuing to move forward at pace on so many fronts. And thanks again, Tristan, for your time today, and look forward to catching up again soon.
Absolutely, Dan. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.